Howdy, howdy, and welcome to another episode of We Talk Sports. As always, I'm your host, Dom Sione, and joining me today are, of course, my co-hosts, Jacob Pendergraph and Owen Fleming. And today, we actually have a special guest here, WC alumni, as well as this We TV old reporter, Liam Bridgeman. Welcome.
I'm happy to be here, guys. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Excited to talk NFL draft.
Yep, the NFL draft went by, and it's always kind of bittersweet because that means we won't really have a lot of football stuff till like preseason. And even then, I'm not really paying a whole lot of attention to that.
No.
But yeah, the NFL draft went by. So how you fellas feeling about it?
No, I'm feeling real good. I'm feeling real good. It's a good draft.
Too. I think there's a lot of teams that made some strides this year.
Absolutely. I'm
Always good.
looking forward to what a lot of these teams are doing, especially my own team, the Panthers. I know me and Owen, whenever we watched them, took McLaurin, or was it McCaffrey?
It was not McCoy.
No, what was it?
My franchise.
Yeah, T
McMillan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ted McMillan. I know. I'm looking forward to him. I mean, I was surprised that they didn't take Walker from Georgia.
Which
T-Mac and Fresh Young were practicing
I know. Well,
before secretly.
secretly.
Screened everyone.
I kind of had some mixed feelings on that pick when they first made it. Just because I think we all kind of had our mindset on Walker. I think really everybody in the whole NFL world kind of had their mindset on that guy. And then they kind of throw a wrench in it, pick McMillan, and, you know, we have no idea how these things are going to turn out.
Obviously.
And picking another receiver year after year kind of goes to show that maybe they made a mistake last year. Maybe they don't trust their pick last year, so they're doubling down a little bit. But, again, we just don't know what will happen. And hopefully Walker doesn't come back and bite us on the butt because he was on the Falcons.
See him 2 times a year.
Yeah, so I do have a bad feeling on that one, but time will tell.
My dad's a
Time
UGA fan, so I watched all their games. So I was excited for the concept of that pick. But when we took the receiver, I understood. Because the receiving room was Leggett, Adam Thielen, who is great, but he's old. He's very old.
The thing with that, though, is I think all 3 of those guys that you mentioned can all their primary position is playing out of the slot.
Yeah.
And that kind of is a little bit scary to me because you hope that one of those 2 young guys like Leggett or McMillan can hopefully play outside. Hopefully they can evolve into that. But, I mean, that's where they got their money in college, was playing out of the slot. So we'll see.
I mean, I know Canales loves his big tight end or kind of receivers. He worked well with, of course, Mike Evans back in Tampa Bay, as well as DK when he was in Seattle. So he was looking for that guy and hoping Leggett was that guy. But the issue with Leggett was, of course, his dropping problem. I mean, I remember I see nightmares every time about him dropping that go-ahead touchdown against the Eagles that would have won them that game. So, yeah, I mean, the best thing about developing Bryce Young is that receiver core, because they fixed the offensive line. It's been better than years past, and now it's that receiving core. And Coker showed a lot, and I'm really hopeful for what he can be. Leggett has kind of course, left me with mixed feelings. Like, he shows some flashes, but then he has those blunders of drop passes and stuff that can be really useful to Bryce. And Bryce took a massive leap in terms of, like, from his benching and just, like, absolutely having, like, what was it, like 11 touchdowns to just, like, 6 interceptions.
It was
that receiving.
It was a pretty good ratio, I believe. Yeah.
So much improved. I'm looking forward to what they can do. Going into the draft afterwards, it kind of worked out in Carolina's favor with the edges falling in the mid rounds. I thought they did a good job getting those edge pieces, getting younger talent, and I thought they had a pretty good draft. If I had to give a grade, which these are meaningless when we go into the regular season, but if I had to give Carolina a grade, I would say about a A- to a B+.
Yeah. I mean, I like those edge picks, you know. We did spend like $100 million on defense in the offseason. So I know a lot of people were upset that we didn't go defense with that pick. But I think if you look at it kind of just, it's easier to find defenders in free agency than it is to find a wide receiver. And that's something we've been looking for since this is DJ Moore's signature on my hoodie. Ever since the year we signed this and then left, we've looked for a wide receiver one, and we haven't found one. Now, hopefully, I think Tet's big enough and good enough that he fits to Bryce's strength. He'll be a good wide receiver A for us. I think Scorton was a good pick as an edge rusher. I had a first-round grade on him, so I was pretty happy to get him in the second. Overall, I thought the draft was pretty good. I didn't like a few of the later round selections, so we did get ETN, who is the Georgia Bulldog. So even though I was
second ETN in the league,
running back, I'm like, all right, well, I'm a homer, so I got it.
It's a second ETN.
Yeah, I got to accept it. But I give it an A myself.
I give it an A. Yeah, I believe so.
Which you mentioned the big thing was playing to Bryce Young's strengths, which T-Mac is kind of a play the ball in the air kind of guy. Which,
he's tall enough, he can see him.
You're right. Which Bryce Young is kind of sort of getting into his groove as an NFL quarterback. That's kind of his game. He's kind of sort of like a Russell Wilson type where he's gonna give you an air ball and have you go up and get it. He didn't really have to have that kind of difficult process in college because his receivers were so wide open. He didn't have to challenge, but now he's kind of turning into that kind of quarterback. And you got to have players that can
Make the play.
go up and get the ball going.
Absolutely. That was the one big issue whenever Bryce was coming into Carolina, is that he was working with DJ Chark. Adam Thielen was, of course, the better receiver, but and
there was also just the Frank Reich here.
I can't.
But I think we've moved past that.
No, we definitely moved past that. The offensive play calling has been better. It's just more the defense this year.
We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes. So, moving away from Carolina, let's talk about Washington.
Yes, let's
Talk about your Commanders there, Jacob.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm real happy with it. I think that taking an addition to our offensive tackle line was definitely something we needed, and I think that with the advanced talent that we have already with Sam Cosme and Andrew Wiley and Nick Allegretti,
You can just trade for Larry Tunsil.
yeah, we got Larry Tunsil. Yeah, I think those guys will be able to help Josh Corley Jr. Grow, and honestly, I think Jaden Daniels will be able to take snaps behind that offensive line at some point.
Which, yeah, you mentioned those trades. You have to add, you've got to have Tunsil in your draft. You've got to add Deebo Samuel to your draft. Those are your draft picks. I mean, it was.
Honestly,
That's how it came out.
I'll take Deebo.
Right?
You're just going to be eating that contract, though. At that, so.
What, they can afford it. It's not. I think what a lot of people forget is that all of this money that we're putting aside with these trades, it's not effective until the second year. If you guys don't perform, we can just trade them away.
I think so.
It's not your money.
It is not my money. It is not my money.
I think there are very few teams that improved as much as the Commanders did, even with such a good year that they had last year that really, I don't think anybody really saw coming.
No, definitely.
And
I think I could see Trey Amos starting.
Oh, he could be. I think he will be a starter.
Performs well in
Cam to the Eagles and
I'm
glad he came to us. Real glad.
I had him going somewhere in the first round. I think maybe the Bills, but
I believe you both did, yeah, and a pretty big steal.
I'm
honestly very happy with it, and I think he'll perform well in camp, and I think he'll be a great addition to Marshawn Lattimore.
Do you approve of this draft?
I do approve of this draft. Honestly, coming from an era of Ron Rivera draft picks,
Rivera, I think
Matt was GM in a college program, so we'll see how that goes.
Where's he at?
He's at Cal. He's general manager.
Well, is he?
Good luck, Ron Rivera.
I think. Wait, don't talk about Rivera.
I mean,
Riverboat Ron.
I love Riverboat Ron. Player evaluations were not.
He might be the best Panthers coach. Well done.
We'll see how he does it.
I mean, the other one is John Fox. So
Right.
So it should be,
What's the competition?
But both great coaches, both led the Panthers to Super Bowl. But yeah. So draft, obviously the big kind of story during that first round, outside of I was talking about other teams, was Shedeur Sanders falling,
which Matt Benford had first.
Yeah, shout out to Professor Benford. He said that.
Benford, knowing elite ball knowledge was not in my 25.
No, he was cranking. When we were producing our live final newscast, he was just telling us for the draft, mainly about Georgia, but as well as others, because he's a Titans fan. So he's talking about Cam Ward and how, despite him thinking that Cam Ward might be just more of the, hey, he's the best quarterback, more available, rather than being a generational prospect, but still. And then talking about how Shedeur Sanders was gonna fall out the first round.
Videos of Shedeur and Cam Ward throwing together.
Oh yeah, and
Shedor's trying to get him to make a song, and Cam Ward looks at him and goes, "I play football." I think that's the difference between.
Well, I think that is kind of what led to this, at least from what I'm hearing, is just didn't do that well in his interview.
He didn't do the workouts. He didn't do the drill.
He messed up the draft process.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good definition of it all. Is just messed up the draft process.
He went for what, the top 5 picks teams? Like he was only talking.
Talk to anyone else.
I just don't know. Like, I feel like the media might have pushed him as a top 5. I don't know if any team.
I said he was an average quarterback at best because I was like, yes, he makes interesting throws and really special throws at Colorado sometimes. But I was also thinking a lot of that is also because he has Travis Hunter, who is the 2nd overall pick in this draft, who also has a lot of things to say about him.
Yeah.
But he like I said, I was like, I'm not that not that impressed by what he was doing to be like, yeah, he's better than Cam Ward, who was also playing in a more competitive conference. Like the ACC is not that great. I could say that as a Pitt fan, it is definitely filled with some mediocrity. But if that's the case, the Big 12, especially now, is the definition of the mediocrity conference. But I mean, even then, he was they went 4-8 the first year, and then this year they went 9-3, and that was with Texas and Oklahoma leaving.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was just never impressed, and I can be considered a hater because I'm not a big fan of Deion Sanders as well.
Deion Sanders is overrated.
See, that's the hair. My dad grew up with that opinion, and I've also taken that opinion. So, but even then, I was always going to say let me look at it, and just going into it, the cocky energy, he's the most polarizing player since Johnny Manziel to me in terms of play on the field and even off the field. He wasn't as party animal.
I would say you could argue Baker Mayfield.
But then again, both those guys won Heismans, whereas
Travis Hunter
won the Heisman, but Shadir is just never on that.
Well, the real interesting thing to me is that he ended up going to the Browns, who drafted Dylan
Gabriel.
around
quarterback room.
And then
All right, I
cut to their reactions. Did you see that?
I need the lower third of what are the Cleveland Browns doing?
We're gonna.
Well, what on earth?
It cuts to the GM
And they're just sitting there
and then you're just oh, the owner.
I feel like that was a Jimmy Haslam.
They took Gabriel.
He was so
to stop from drafting a quarterback.
Well, I think there's a lot of complaints surrounding the Cleveland Browns for quite some time. But I have been such a big fan of Andrew Berry just doing his work as a general manager, trying
to salvage everything,
trying to provide them talent as much as possible. I think they did a very good job in this draft. I know that Shadir Sanders may be a questionable pick.
But it's a later round.
It's a 5th round pick.
It's a lottery.
You're taking a waiver on a guy that you hope can potentially provide you some kind of an outcome.
I like the Mason Graham pick.
I do.
I love what they did by moving down to get
an extra first round pick.
Yeah.
Going down 3 spots, still providing talent on your defensive line, which is what they needed.
Yeah.
And you trade down and not get the super generational talent, who I thought he was the best player in the draft personally, but still providing some talent on that defensive line when Myles Garrett.
Yeah. And on the other side of the coin, you have the Atlanta Falcons, who traded a future first round
as
pick
much as they went
to move up to 25.
That is questionable.
And that's a much poorer process in my mind compared to what the Browns did.
They did get their edge rusher though, and they
got 2 of them.
And on top of it, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars pick. Who knows what the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to look
like? A top 5, maybe even first.
This could be 2 top 10 picks in the next draft.
Yeah.
And as long as they pick the right players, that's going to be a good.
And they could possibly be done with Deshaun Watson very soon, especially with his contract
and his outside allegation.
Well, I can't imagine they'll be looking to extend his contract.
No, they aren't.
It's been 2.
I just feel so bad for my boy Kenny Pickett because I really thought he was going to.
Oh yeah, the real starting quarterback, Kenny Pickett.
Because with Watson likely being out with his Achilles injury, of course Joe Flacco was also going to be thrown in there. And then Gaber,
I think Flacco probably gets a starting gig to start.
He might be able to.
Because he did take him to the playoffs.
I think, well, one, they're going to have to trade somebody. I think it might be either Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco, depending. I think it might be Kenny Pickett more than Flacco.
Well, Joe Flacco is an elite quarterback.
I think more than likely they're going to roll with 3 quarterbacks. I think they're going to.
Yeah,
and I think they'll. I think
someone's going to be gone. I think it's going to be, of course, Kenny Pickett, the one that one isn't the newest or.
But hey, maybe Kenny Pickett will go somewhere that'll start him.
I hope so.
I mean, Sam Howell's with the Vikings now.
That was also an interesting day two
Stupid.
picks.
Did y'all have any like sleeper picks you liked? Any guys?
Sleeper picks?
Just any guys you really like that got picked compared to some?
Well, I personally, I mean, it's not necessarily a sleeper pick. He's just my favorite guy by far to watch on tape. Tyler Warren went to the Colts at 14.
I thought that was the most Indianapolis
tight
pick
end for like a decade.
It may have been, and it may be boring, but gosh, I just love that watching that guy play football. He is just so much fun to watch.
I'm very mixed because I think he's a great talent and also very anti-Penn State. So it's like, ugh. Like, I'm like hoping for the best in the NFL, but like, I don't like where he came from. It's like Saquon Barkley. Like, I like him, and
I hate him.
I know you hate him, but like in terms of like where he is now, like where he's at. Don't like the college, but like I don't. Like I think that's a good pick. There is another one that I kind of was like, oh, that's interesting. I think interesting. What the Cowboys did.
With the guard, I didn't really like that. I thought they could have traded down and gotten him later.
Well,
I mean, Cowboys got Phil Maffa later.
Yeah.
Phil Maffa's a beast.
I mean, I just mean specifically the Tyler Booker pick. That was a bit too high.
Yeah, but like they made up for it with that one. You know, just a positive and a negative. Balance out.
Do you like the
Booker could be a good player. I just thought it was a little too high to
Do
take.
you guys like
I
the
think-
Saints taking was his?
They took a tackle.
Well, no, but like in the second round.
Oh, Tyler Schlo.
Shlomo.
I know. I really enjoyed the Saints fans just crashing out online.
Makes us feel better. Yeah.
They're like, he's got 2 broken elbows.
What's he gonna do for
I
me?
enjoyed that. My favorite pick, probably in terms of what I think will be fun to watch, is just gonna be DNT with the Raiders.
Yeah. My dad's looking forward.
That's
to that.
Pete Carroll. He's just gonna be like, "You're my new Marshawn Lynch. Go run as much as you can."
Geno Smith.
I really enjoy.
I think the Raiders have had a pretty fun offseason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Geno and him. That's
Geno getting that, pairing him up with Ginty and having, of course, Brock Bowers from last year. That should be a really fun
And I
offense.
really like the TCU receiver that they took in the second round. He could be a very big steal for them.
yeah.
It could be a
He's
steal.
pretty
That
be a good.
that was one of my favorite picks as well.
I thought most teams like had a pretty solid like draft class. I think the only real ones that I don't know that didn't really pop out to me were kind of the Cowboys.
I agree with that.
I know, but like
One player does not a classmate.
I mean, unless you're thinking Mel Kiper who gave the Browns the only A plus. And speaking of that, I guess Mel Kiper was just on a different rant. That entire
He's always on a different wavelength with everybody.
He they ended the day 2 broadcast with him being like, "This is absolutely disgusting. What's happening here?"
And I was just like, I mean, can you blame the teams like for like maybe moving out? I'm like, it's a weak draft class in terms of quarterbacks. I'm like, a lot of teams are like thinking, well, let's just suck for another year to get maybe Arch Manning.
I want to see the Giants tank another season.
They're
They're
gonna.
No, they took.
I thought they were going to. They should have.
Should have.
You know,
It would have been poetic.
I think the Giants' jobs are cooked.
You think
I think
Dave?
if you're taking Jackson Dart to save your job, you're probably not.
It's like the Bears with like Trubisky and taking Justin Fields. Like
Yeah.
with was it John Fox and Matt Nagy like saying like this is our job right here. Like we gotta take a quarterback or else, and hope he
Yeah.
pans out, or else it's like.
yeah, it kind of gives you like an extra year maybe if the guy kind of looks like he may work out a little bit. but-
So we'll see if he even plays.
I don't think he will play a whole lot this year. I think because they also have Jameis, who I think they'll also
I
consider.
forgot the.
It's
What
gonna
a
be
what a
And Tommy DeVito too. Tommy DeVito. So
So don't even get me started on Tommy.
Tommy DeVito not do long for that roster, unfortunately.
it is.
see what happens with the Giants.
It's gonna be an interesting off season, or like I guess like going into the season now because the off season's almost wrapped up. We are like
We're getting ready to
75% of the way there. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. So this is kind of the last episode also that we're going to be talking about the NFL unless something happens on our final episode, which is about a week away. So going to be sad times, but we will be returning to talk about some football. And Liam, you might be coming back in.
I would love to come back. I had a great time, guys.
Be mostly talking about some weeks.
Yeah, there you go.
We're talking about some recaps of the weeks as well as some college football. I know me and Owen. I think Jacob, are you also looking forward to that too?
college ball. Clemson Tigers, baby.
Oh yeah.
Go Tigers.
They were some
And I'm gonna be.
the March Madness bracket. I don't see why we couldn't.
I want to fight the McNeese manager. I want to box him.
He's now at NC State, isn't
I want to box the NC State student manager
he? So
for charity. You can. I'm calling you out. We're gonna box for charity.
On that note,
You know. On that note.
on that note, I'll be looking forward to see what Cole Gonzalez if he comes to fit.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's at it.
Yeah, I know. I
Didn't
saw his visit there.
Oh, I didn't. I mean, he said quarterback for Penn State or Pitt State.
wow.
Pitt State,
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Reunited with Kate Bell.
Yeah.
So, but that should be fun. But once again, thank you, Liam, for joining us. It's been a blast to have you here. And of course, thank you, my co-host, for joining me today. And thank you guys for watching this episode of We Talk Sports. And as always, go
Go
Cats.
Cats.